Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a Spright deck profile, looking at this format going into like the post-Phantom Nightmare. I know the set's not out yet, but this is kind of what I'm looking to start with as far as the Spright testing. I've been doing a bit of like testing leading up to YCS Sydney, our kind of one Australian event that we get each year, and looking at all of the different options. Just recently I would have just posted a Labyrinth deck profile. It's one kind of option I'm considering. Spright is certainly another one that I am considering. I know that it's kind of fallen off in favor a little bit with just power creep and things and whatnot, but the deck is crazy in that it can fit heaps of non-engine. I know in the hand trap format, the hand traps can be kind of hit and miss sometimes against Spright. Obviously it depends on what the Spright player opens and what hand traps are being used, but it can be a very resilient deck to hand traps. And so this is what I'm kind of testing this kind of variation. Obviously we can play a lot of hand traps ourselves as well. And so you'll see kind of, I think I've got what, 18 non-engine slots or something, which is insane. So 3 blue, 3 jet, 1 red, 1 carrot. There's no reason to change any of these. You could potentially look at like extra copies of red and carrot. I've even considered something like Desires, because you can just play multiples of all the good cards, and Desires is just like a really free +2, +1, but yeah, it's an option. 3 starter, obviously it's at 3, a third one is coming, and 1 smashes. I don't know about smashes. You don't necessarily need to play this. Like this could be double cross or gamma burst, but it's good to be able to just have an interruption that you can kind of set. It does conflict with some of the non-engine we're playing. It's a wink wink nudge nudge, it's Shifter, and Shifter obviously is going to be a crazy card going into next format, and so that's kind of another reason why this deck has potential to see success, because it is a deck that can function fairly well under Shifter. Obviously it does deny access to some things, but the deck can play better under Shifter than the better decks can play under Shifter, that, if you know what I mean. So Smashes is a card that you don't necessarily have to play. Obviously it's decent going second as like a search target for Jet. But again, obviously it conflicts with Shifter, so that's one kind of thing to consider about whether or not it's playable. But then for the next kind of engine, it's just obviously the rest of the kind of the 2s. So the 3 Beaver, the 2 Angler. I don't think I want to play this, but again, we're playing Shifter, so it's probably not a good card, but I want this to be, like this could just be any one of target that you want to summon off Gigantic. I mean, it could be like Nightmare Corruptor Ibly, for example. Just like a one-off thing that you can summon off Gigantic for those times where Gigantic resolves, if you've already like accessed blue, because you never want to summon like the Nimbles off Gigantic, doesn't feel right. Otherwise you could just cut this. I believe the list is 41, it might be 40, but you could potentially, if it's 41, I can't remember which one it is, but you could just cut this and not play it at all. But I mean, I really like Sources, I think it's just a fun card. Then the third engine that I'm playing with in this, and it's not the Melfi cards, it is the Mutant engine. So it's 1 MO5, 1 Mutant, and 3 Italy. But on this train of thought, the Soul Scissors could be a Cyframe Gear Gamma, and then you could play the 1 driver, and just, if you draw it, you win with it. Otherwise you can hit people with it, but otherwise you can just E-Telly out the Gamma as like an extra target if you've got extra E-Telly. So that's another option I've considered. It's probably the right option. Yeah, that's a consideration. But yeah, 3 E-Telly, 1 Mutant, MO5, 1 Mutant. If you haven't seen this before, this is just a third push option. So obviously Spright is a deck that has always had Starter as like a 1 card full combo. It's got Nimble Beaver as a 1 card full combo. Obviously you can like normal summon a level 2, special summon a blue in hand, and that's full combo as well. But obviously like that's a normal summon, same with Beaver. So but Sprite's always had 2 big pushes, right? It's got your extender push with like Starter, and then it's got your normal summon push with the Beaver. But if both of those get stopped, then obviously your turn ends. E-Telly gives you a third push. I'm playing this over Prosperity to access your 1 card combos because, again, alongside Shifter, this engine doesn't really operate well under Shifter either, but it still gives you like free extenders with E-Telly. So the play is E-Telly into MO5. MO5 searches Mutant, and then you can special summon this because you control a Mutant, and then a 2 and a 1 can make Sprint, and then you go off from there and it's full combo. So it's not full combo under Shifter, unfortunately, but at the very least it's at level 2. But Without Shifter, it is just a full combo as well. So something that you could play test if you haven't tested it out already. And then the rest of the deck is the non-engine. Now, of course, this is going to be format specific. This is my first kind of thought about what I could play in like a post-Phantom Nightmare environment. So I've gone with Fenrir, Shifter being like the big one here, Ash, Super Poly, Talents, and Imperm. Now, again, this is not necessarily like a locked-in thing. It's purely representative of the fact that you can fit in 18 non-engine cards. Whether or not Super Poly is the one you want to like, you might decide to main Bell, for example, or go really heavy on the hand traps, ditch the Talents, ditch the Super Poly, ditch the Fenrir, and just go all in on like all the hand traps, Shifter, Ash, Mourners, Veilers, Droll, Nib, whatever. You could just go all in on that. I've kind of gone for that mixed approach. Talents has every reason to be crazy. Obviously, Shifter's crazy. Fenrir, I think, is decent only because it's just also just an extender that you can slap on the table and normal summon a level 2, like, Nimble Angler at the very least, and still full combo from there. So that's where I think Shifter does have some versatility. And that's the same with Super Poly. Like, Super Poly does have a little bit of versatility like that, where you can Super Poly your opponent's board and then just normal summon a 2 and go off from there. I know that people are going to be actively trying to play around Super Poly, but yeah, it again doesn't have to be the card that you play. But I'm just saying there's 18 spots for non-engine, and these are all ones that have reason to be decent in this format. The extra deck, there's probably ways you could do this differently. 2 Gigantic Spright, the Ninja, the Soul Sweeper, Downed Zeus, and the Typhon. Sprint, there's an argument to play 2, with like the recent success of like Kashtira and like the Buzz King, for example. Maybe 2 Sprinters, okay. Like, the deck is fairly flexible in its extra deck space. SP Live Night, of course, is crazy. IP is just a decent end board piece because we're not playing the Melfies. So going into IP on the end board, where you would have gone like 2/2s into the Melfi of the Forest, playing IP instead. Obviously, IP represents less interruptions, but the Melfi cards are bricks. So I'm just trying to cut down on the bricks. Like, you're already playing like the Nimble Anglers, which you don't want to draw. There's stuff like the Smashes that you don't really want to draw. Like the Soul Scissors and like the Mutant cards. Like, the deck already plays bricks that you don't play. So I just cut the Melfi cards because they're just 2 more bricks. So I'm just using IP as just an end board piece instead of that. It's decent. Obviously, it goes up into SP, which is 2 interruptions on its own, which is nice. Nightmare Phoenix is just a kind of like a flex spot. A lot of the Snake Eye Viking people that I've been kind of watching a bit of often get rid of the Sanctuary, so like Phoenix can potentially be decent. I know it triggers the pop effects, but depending on what the board is, maybe you catch them off guard. Obviously, it's also good into like trap matchups and whatnot. Avramax, I don't know if this is going to be good. It's just space filler at the moment, but could be a decent option. And then 3 Super Holy targets being Mud Dragon, Garura, and the Guilty Gearfried. This may or may not lose a little bit of viability, as like the Runic deck might not be as strong, but it is there nonetheless. Could be another target, but yeah, that's just is what. Obviously, Mud Dragon and Garura are the 2 big ones. But that is the extra deck, and that is going to be the deck profile for kind of just where I'm thinking Spright is at the moment, as far as like the pure variations for potentially like the post-Phantom Nightmare format. Obviously, it's got lots of non-engine, can play Shifter, could prove to be a decent option. But otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one.